good morning, and welcome to the virtual retreat. We'll give a few minutes for others to join. We've already started the recording, so if you're here, you can feel free to come on to camera or just keep it on audio, whatever works for you. And we've got over 75 people signed up for this amazing virtual experience. So whether you're going to be here live or catching the replays, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And we'll give a few more minutes for those who are just joining. So if you're just now settling in, I invite you to take a moment to exhale, to begin to be present, get yourself in a comfortable position. We'll be starting in just a few more moments as others trickle their way in. I invite you to shut down any noises on your computer that might be distracting. If there's anything that might pull your attention away, now would be an opportunity. And as we wait for others to arrive, just begin to find your breath. I invite you to take a few slow inhales and even longer exhales. We'll be doing an official meditation shortly with Chris when he joins in. And otherwise, I'm so happy to kick off this week. As a reminder, every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. in this same Zoom link. If you haven't already, you can add it to your calendar so it's easy to find. But there are going to be reminder emails that will go out an hour before each of our scheduled calls in the morning. It'll be at 9 a.m. for the live Zoom call. That's going to be pretty short, maybe only about 10 or 15 minutes. It's going to begin with some intention setting for the day, a short meditation. There will be a different focus with each different day on the meditation that we're going to be practicing. And I'm also going to be offering a journal prompt that ties into the meditation that will also connect us to some greater intentions for the week. And in each email you'll receive Monday morning, you will have the link reminder for our morning meditation call. The link is the same for all of the calls, so you don't have to worry about it being a different one. And there will also be a recap of the speaker from the day before, as well as a link for the replays. So if you missed any of the live sessions, not to worry, you will get all of the replays each day. And I really invite you to do your best to show up and try to make the live calls, as it's about presence and creating space for you and honoring that you are worthy of putting other things aside and allowing yourself the space to focus on yourself, to delve into self-awareness, self-care, insight, and all of the tools that we're going to be talking about this week. So again, you'll get an email each morning, an hour before the live call. Again, those will have the replays from the day before, as well as the recap. And then you will also receive a reminder email an hour before our evening conversation with the guest experts. So don't want to overcrowd your inbox, but also want to make sure that you have those links and reminders top of mind for you. And then on Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time will be our final celebration call of having gotten through the week. And in that call, there will also be some extra giveaways. All of our guest experts have so generously offered some different gifts. In Monday's email, you are going to get a link where each of the different guests have offered a free giveaway, and there will be a link and a description for what each one has is so generously giving. And then in Friday's celebration, completing the week, where I will be weaving together all of the wisdom that we gained and tying it together into a somewhat conclusive, tapestry of reflections and insights and awarenesses, and helping guide you where to go next now that you've had all this insight of how to cultivate satisfaction when you're not where you thought you would be. And on Friday's call, there will also be some special raffle prizes of some extra special gifts that both myself and each of the guests are doing giveaways, signed copies of books, such as that. So if you can only make one live call all week, try to make it for Friday, because that will be who gets to show up and participate in the raffle giveaways. And in the meantime, I invite you to thank yourself for showing up. Whether you're live or on the replay, it doesn't matter. You've created the opportunity for yourself to be here. And that's sometimes more than half the battle, is just valuing our own worth, to say, I'm putting other things aside to attend to myself so I can get to know myself a little bit better, so I can get a little more clear on what I want and what I don't want, and the barriers in the way, and how to have the tools to implement whatever change and transformation that you would like to achieve. I also would love for those who are on the live call for this to be interactive. So if there's times where, I ask a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. And if anything that I'm saying you would like to just clarify, please don't hesitate to just put in the chat as well, so we can engage in conversation and community. So that being said, I've lit some candles behind me that you can see some intentions, but I'm also going to light another candle right now as we begin. And all of these candles are from one of my favorite spiritual stores in Southern California called House of Intuition. And the ones behind me, one of them is a blessing for 2023. And another one is abundance. And the one I just lit says, I am magic. So as we light this candle, I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Just breathing in the intention we've created to open up this sacred space, to allow for whatever is to be revealed, whatever we're here to learn, where we're here to grow, to see what our edges are that we want to be able to smooth out for this next season of our life. And as I always do, I'm going to be able to try to create this virtual experience to be as similar as what you would gain with me in an in-person experience. So one of the ways that I love to do some intention settings and to bring into our space is to pull some different cards. So I have 3 sets of cards, and I'll be doing this every morning. And as I pull them, I'm going to give you 3 options. I'll pull 3 different ones. I invite you to just jot down on your notepad 1, 2, or 3, so that way you can see which one was meant for you. So the first card that I'm going to pull are angel cards, and they're just singular words. And so jot down if you want card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3. Oh, okay, these are amazing. I'm super excited with these cards that just pulled. Okay, if you decided you wanted card number 1 on the angel card, it is abundance. And sometimes we think of abundance of being tangible things like money or objects, but I really think of abundance in a more spiritual way, of abundance of energy, of community, of self-awareness. So however you define abundance, if you picked card number 1, this was the card that was meant for you. Angel card, if you picked, you wanted number 2, strength. So this could be, mental strength, emotional strength, physical strength, spiritual strength, whatever it is that you are needing to feel a little bit stronger around. That was card number 2. And card number 3 is actually my personal favorite. So I'm so pleased that this is the card that was pulled. Authenticity, which, if I could sum up truly what I think this virtual retreat is going to be about, is authenticity, right? Because we so often get in our own way of living our most authentic, alive, fulfilling life. And so, honest to goodness, those were the random cards that I pulled. So this is a beautiful intention to start this week. And I thought I would do one more card deck. And this is the Gabrielle Bernstein Universe Has Your Back cards and some beautiful intentions. So again, I'm going to pull 3 random cards and write down if you want card number 1, card number 2, or card number 3. And I will put these cards also, I'll have it written down inside the replay email so that way you can remember which card you decided to pick and what it was. Okay, so for the universe has your back, if you wanted card number 1 as your intention. It says, my capacity to tune in to the energy of love gives me the words I need when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I am lost. That's beautiful. Capacity to tune into the energy of love. Okay, so that was card number 1. Card number 2 is I surrender to a power greater than me. Beautiful butterfly symbolizing transformation there. And the third one is I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. Oh, that's really beautiful. So this might be a past version of yourself that you're ready to look at with compassion, maybe a past version of yourself that you're ready to forgive or accept. So often those old versions of ourselves can be a source of judgment and stuckedness, preventing us from moving forward. So beautiful. And I, again, will put those cards in the replay email so you can remember what you wrote for if you wanted 1, 2, or 3. So we did some intention setting with our candle and pulled our cards. And I invite you, if you're here live, to put into the chat maybe just one word of what you're feeling right now. Or you can write it down. Perhaps it's an emotion, perhaps it's an expectation for the day or the week to come. Perhaps it's something that's on your mind. So if there's anything you'd like to share, I invite you to create the space to share it now. And if you want to just share it internally to yourself, that works as well. Morgan, thank you, says Joy, for the space to let go. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and for allowing that space to come through. So Chris is going to be showing up in just under 10 minutes to be guiding in a meditation. And before he arrives, I wanted to be able to set the intention for the week with some questions. So I'm going to give you guys some space to reflect on this as I bring it up. So if you have a journal in front of you, I'll allow for some quiet time for opportunity to jot down some notes. But this is always a question I ask at the beginning of retreats. And I've been leading retreats for years, and retreats have been the source of my own biggest personal transformations, which is why I'm so passionate about leading them. And I know from experience that the retreat begins as soon as I sign up. The retreat doesn't just begin when I arrive at my destination of wherever it's going to be, because whatever I was here to learn during this retreat is already being offered through the experience as soon as I made the commitment to be there. And oftentimes I will sign up for retreat and I will attend a retreat with an intention of something I'm really hoping to get out of it. It's usually an expectation I have of what I'm going to learn, what I'm going to become aware of, what's going to change. And I've always had the experience to not over attach to that expectation of what am I here to get, because quite often what I end up receiving is not always what I end up thinking I was going to receive. So a question that I always like to begin, So again, I'm going to give you a moment to jot this down, or you can just close your eyes and think about your response. Is, why am I here? Why did I sign up for this? Why did I show up? So the question I invite you to consider is, why am I here? So I'll give you just a moment to consider that. And the follow-up question that I invite you to consider, why am I here, might be the obvious thing. Maybe you're here because you wanted to hear a particular speaker. Maybe you're here because you really wanted some guidance in creating some transformation in your life. Maybe you're here because you wanted to carve out some time for yourself at this season of your year, and you're ready to learn something. There's usually obvious reasons about why we're here. But the follow-up question I invite you to consider is, why are you really here? What's under the surface? What might be something that maybe you've pushed away, that has been a little nudge you haven't quite listened to, that maybe you want to create the opportunity for some deeper acceptance of what that nudge is? Maybe you're really here because you're ready to take a leap into a new area of your life, and you just need the support and the guidance to do so. Maybe you're really here because you want to learn how to be still, because you are exhausted at the momentum of your life that keeps pushing a trajectory and a cadence that you no longer can sustain. So it's always an interesting insight to ask, why am I here? And why am I really here? And the why am I really here may be a question that will emerge over the next couple of days. You may not even know the answer till after we're completely done with this virtual retreat, and that's perfectly okay. But I invite you to consider the opening to receiving whatever it is you're here to receive, because I know the biggest gifts I received were outside of my own expectations or attachments to outcomes. And that, for the real beauty of a retreat, lies in. That's where the offering is. Letting go of attachment, letting go of expectation or assumptions of how you thought it was going to look or be, and allow it to be what is actually coming to you. And in order to receive what's really here, that's going to be our work of creating the stillness, the intention setting, the journaling, because often we get what we're meant to receive all over in our life, but we have barriers that prevent us from taking it in. So it's my hope, without attachment, that this week is an opportunity for you to allow whatever barriers are in the way of receiving, to let those just be quiet so you can be open to receiving. So Chris is just arriving into our group, and I'm going to let him take a minute to get settled. And as he begins to arrive, this is a perfect transition into this question of, how can I begin to create any transformation in my life? And for me, one of the biggest answers is through stillness, through meditation. Because in absence of stillness, we stay on that cadence of busyness and the glorification of busyness. We get caught up in our thoughts. We get caught up in distractions. We don't give ourselves the room and the space to allow what's here to exist without judgment. We tend to judge emotions. We tend to over attach to thoughts that we believe is our truth. We get stuck on old belief systems or assumptions that prevent us from getting to know ourselves in the here and now. And so for me, and I know Chris will agree because of the beautiful work he does, and we'll fully introduce him in just a moment, but meditation is one of the foundational ways I've created the biggest transformation in my life, because I allowed myself to basically let the glitter of my own snow globe settle. Think of a snow globe, right? You shake it up and the glitter is everywhere. And while it might be beautiful in that chaos, you can't see clearly. And we need the ability to slow down, to create the stillness and the silence so that we can see clearly and let whatever is around us just settle. As it settles, doesn't mean it disappeared. It just has settled. And that's the power of meditation. And it's only through that that we can really begin to say, who am I? What do I need? What do I want? What are my real beliefs? What are my thoughts? What are the thoughts that are my truth, or what are the thoughts that are just passing thoughts that I don't need to attach to or hold on to? And meditation gives us that ability. So we're going to be talking about meditation throughout the entire week. And I'm going to bring Chris on to add the spotlight here so we can share the screen. And Chris, you can turn off your mute so we can have you welcome us. And I have to say, Chris, there's over 75 people who are signed up for this virtual retreat. Not everyone is here with us live, so they'll be catching the replay. And I'm just so thrilled that you're here to kick us off. And you guys, Chris is really probably pretty tired right now because it's the middle of the night for him. He's all the way in Singapore right now as he's calling in. So I just want to say, Chris, thank you so much for committing to being part of this virtual retreat. Please introduce yourself and share a little bit of your own journey of how you got to where you are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jory. And I'll get up any time of night or day to be part of this amazing event. Thank you for having me here. And of course, we've had many other collaborations in the past, and I'm sure in the future. And definitely a great pleasure. Everything you said is so spot on. I think of meditation more as returning us to our natural state. Like you say, the glitter of the snow globe, allowing it to settle. It's not about pushing thoughts away. Meditation is not about suppressing anything or just like not thinking. It's about seeing things as they are. And that's what brings peace into our existence. We don't calm our mind by wanting it to be calm. We calm our mind by accepting that it's not calm. And it's kind of the inverse way that the universe works. And that's what meditation is about.
Chris, what you just said is so beautiful. And it makes me think about two things. One, the way to peace and knowing ourselves is through acceptance, right? And I often do in a lot of the parenting work I do in my practice, we'll tell parents that if your child is tantruming, the last thing anyone, especially a kid, but especially us as well as adults, the last thing anyone's ever going to do when you say calm down is actually calm down. And the way you just said that, it kind of just took what I always say in terms of parenting work into this meditation realm. Telling your mind just to calm down is not going to be the thing to actually quiet your mind. You got to do something different to allow it to be calm, not just judge or shame it into calming.
Exactly. And we have those experiences just like you described as parents with neighbors and coworkers and friends and our family members. And yet it's the only way we know. So we keep repeating it. Well, there is a better way, and that's what we're all here for. So, yeah.
Could you give a brief introduction to yourself and your own meditation journey and how you got to where you are and now you doing the work that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And it builds on what we were just saying. It was living for outcomes, always not, even when I was doing things that one could consider passions, I was still not present with the activity. I was always looking for the achievement or the outcome. And so it doesn't really matter what you do. If you're not present with the doing, then it's not going to fulfill you. And so you could be doing, it's less about what you do, it's how you do it. And it's not about selling everything you have and moving to a remote island. It's about bringing more presence into every little activity that we already engage in, all our existing routines. The meaningfulness really emerges when we're connected to the activity through our senses, our sensations, and that's the meditation we're going to do today. And that changed everything in my life. I started to surrender to the situation, and that then allowed me to come out of reactivity and resistance, meaning I was in my mind thinking it should be something else than it is because I prepared a certain way, but rather seeing it as it is, cleared up my mind to be able to see what is the best solution for the situation at hand. And everything changes, your energy changes, you come at it with an open, curious energy. You're listening, you're a better listener and observer. Beginner's mind, you never stop learning, as opposed to controlling and steering, which is a divisive energy. It's full of resistance and smallness. So it had a huge impact on not just my personal life, but how that then affected my family and my friends and everyone around me. And then ultimately that led to making it my full-time thing today.
It's beautiful. And I just want to draw upon one thing you said there, that not everyone may know what it means, but it's a really powerful component, is that idea of beginner's mind. And think things as if the first time, because the way that we move through the world is through very well established pathways, right? And really, it's our brain's way of being efficient, because if we saw everything in the world with beginner's mind, it would take a lot of time and energy to create a, a schema for how do I do this, right? So our brain's designed to not have beginner's mind all the time, so we can be efficient and drive where we need to drive and do our routines throughout the day. And yet that gets in our own way when we are dismissing what's in front of us because we're not being present. We're making assumptions on ourselves, on others. It prevents us from fully knowing, right, ourselves and what's arising. So it's a balance of, yes, of course, we can't have beginner's mind about everything, but noticing when those schemas or patterns or routines are preventing us from being present or aware or more mindful or more connected, or paying attention to the barriers preventing us from achieving that calm or joy or peace or satisfaction, right? Anything else
Yeah,
you would add to
exactly.
beginner's mind?
Yeah, the key word there is noticing. And just because beginner's mind is more an outset, openness to observing what actually is, it doesn't preclude us then reaching back on existing patterns, existing solutions and approaches that we've used. That is still part of your toolbox, but to really see things clearly as they are, as opposed to some mental snapshot of how we want it to be, that allows us to have the full perspective and not just see one little angle on it. And then we make better decisions because we can we see more of the situation, as opposed to just the way we wanted to see it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And a couple more things before we begin in the meditation, because many people here might be new to meditation. And I know when I first started to meditate, I had a lot of assumptions and judgments about what it is and what it isn't, and what made a quote good meditation or a bad meditation, or if I was someone who could. I mean, there's like all these stories that I told myself. So I'm wondering if we can just, for the new people starting out, and really giving them some clarity on what meditation is and is not. Because I like to break down any barriers to entry on the get-go.
Yes.
So what are some of the areas in which you see are some of those, assumptions or judgments that may get people stuck as they start off a meditation practice?
Yeah. And just like all situations in life, when we go by what we should be doing, which is just an external imprint, it gets in the way of actually working with our bodies, seeing what is right for us. Not everything resonates at a particular time. So it's all about exploration and seeking, and definitely not being hard on yourself for when something doesn't work or you need practice. That's all part of the normal learning process. I think we fall down 600 times before we learn to walk.
Yeah.
So, and there's also these little, experiences of first time we experience bliss in a meditation. We then subconsciously create that expectation and try to find back to it. And then again, that blocks us from just truly being present with what is, which may be
Yeah.
that today it's not bliss.
Yeah.
and and again, that then takes us closer into calm and acceptance and surrender, and which essentially is the bliss. So those are some of the things to just take note of. I would say there is no right or wrong for yourself. Figure out what works and what doesn't. What I'll guide us through is very universal in nature. Everyone has breath, everyone has sensations, and everyone feels good when they're grounded and out of their head and
Yeah.
in their body. So,
Yeah. I want to add in there a couple of ones, just again, for people who might be new to this practice. Um, there's no time of day you have to do this at. Sometimes people assume, oh, I got to get up early in the morning, got to meditate first thing. Nope, no one says meditation, works better for you if it's first thing in the morning versus end of the day, middle of the day. There's no specific length of time. A 30-second effective pause where you're truly connecting with breath, getting out of your head, allowing and accepting with compassion can be really beautiful and effective for what we're seeking, which is letting that glitter of that snow globe settle, right? Getting out of the routine of the schemas that keep us on that busyness. Um, Meditation, like you said, there's no right or wrong way. I always say the best meditation is the one you show up for,
yeah,
right?
indeed, indeed, and it can literally be as little as one conscious breath, and
Yeah.
that can shift the energy and keep you on the side of awareness, as opposed to getting pulled into reactivity or getting lost in thought. So it's just our senses are there for a reason. Hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, feeling, all of this keeps us as glued to right now as possible, and that's really how we're designed to be. We're not designed to be lost in thought.
Yeah.
That's
And that's one of the many things I hear from people is my thoughts won't stop when I meditate. And so I must not be good at this because my thoughts won't stop. So if you experience that, welcome to being human. And know that that's not actually the quote goal of meditation, is to not stop your thoughts. The key is to just notice them and not let them have more power over you, but just be able to stay in awareness of them and recognize they're just thoughts. They don't define you. They're impermanent. They're not necessarily your capital T truth. Same thing with restlessness in the body. People say, oh, I can't sit still. Okay, let that be okay,
yeah,
right? And let
exactly.
that become part of the practice.
Yeah.
I once was at Spirit Rock in Northern California in a day-long retreat being guided by Jack Cornfield, who is one of our top spiritual teachers of our time. And someone raised their hand and said, Jack, but I can't meditate. I get really restless. What do I do? Like my body just is buzzing and I can't be still. And Jack has a very dry sense of humor. And he says, well, bow down to your challenge. And he just kind of started to bow and he said, restlessness, restlessness, restlessness. Thank you, goodbye. Like just honor it and let it go. Like you don't have to let it become the thing. You're just, oh, okay, I'm restless. Let that be okay. Now moving on. It was a very like everyday response to a very deep spiritual question, right?
Yeah, and that's a beautiful symbolism right there. Is you don't have to accept thoughts that come along. You can see them for what they are and give them back. It's like put them back in the flow, release them back into the ether. Same thing with feelings is allow them fully, but you don't have to hold on to them. And that's the key. Your thoughts will always be there. We're full of trillions of cells that are generating activity and collaboration. Plus, our senses are constantly connected to the world around us. There's going to be thoughts that arise, and it's never about shutting them down or wanting them to be less. So it's just about having the not giving them your power, as you said.
Yeah. And that we know the more we attach to our thoughts, the more we attach to especially some unpleasant emotions, that's where suffering exists. And that's
Yeah.
why meditation is a pathway to release our suffering, is because we're not over attaching to these arbitrary beliefs of self, and we come back just into our body and into our presence. So hopefully that was a good intro and understanding of why meditation. And now Chris is going to guide us into the beautiful how of what meditation experience is. So, Chris, maybe we'll do about 15, 20-ish minutes or so, whatever feels organic for you.
That's perfect.
So if you're
Mhm.
live and you want to turn off your camera for this, you're welcome to keep it on as well, whatever feels comfortable for you. And if you're watching the replay, great, you are tuned into an opportunity for presence. You can come back to this over the course of the week as well. And I do just invite you to allow yourself to be present for whatever is arising to exist without judgment. And with that, thank you, Chris. We'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jory. So there'll be two parts to this. We're going to start with thought awareness using our breath, and then I will take us into a body scan. All this will be guided. So all you have to do is follow the voice. And again, there's just staying connected to who you are is the most fundamental lesson here. So with that said, if you find a comfortable position and with your eyes and mouth closed, focus your attention on the incoming and outgoing breath at the entrance of your nostrils. If you have trouble locating your breath, you may breathe slightly harder once or twice. And once you feel the touch of your breath, return to natural breath, normal breath. Seeing your breath as it is, not wanting it to be different. Let the detail of your breath pull you in closer. If it's shallow breath, let it be shallow. If it's deep breath, let it be deep. If it's more in the left nostril, let it be the left nostril. If it's more in the right nostril, let it be the right. And if it's both nostrils, let it be both. Notice the temperature of the incoming breath. Notice the temperature of the outgoing breath. Notice if there's a difference. Notice the pace of the incoming breath. And notice the pace of the outgoing breath. Notice if there's a difference. And whenever you find that your mind has wandered, simply notice it and return your attention back to the incoming and outgoing breath at the entrance of your nostrils. Now gradually shift your attention to the top of your head, your crown chakra, an area about the size of your fist. And notice any sensations that may arise. It could be a tingling sensation, a tickly sensation, a prickly sensation, a feeling of pressure or of lightness, of heat or cold. Any sensation is a valid sensation. No need to look for a particular sensation. Simply observe what is, not wanting it to be different. And if you feel no sensation at all, that's all right too. Now gradually move your attention to your forehead. Come around to the left side of your head. And around to the back of your skull. And the right side of your head. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. Now move your attention into your right eye socket. And across to the bridge of your nose. On to the left eye socket. Moving down to your left cheek. And across to your lips. And on to the right cheek. And down to your chin. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. Now moving down to the front of your throat. And around to the left side of your neck. The back of your neck. Right side of your neck. Now moving down into your right shoulder. And down into your right bicep. And around to the tricep. And down to the back of your elbow. and the inside of your elbow, down to the inside of your forearm, and around to the outside of your forearm, and now into the back of your hand, and around to the palm of your hand, and move your attention deep into your fingers, all the way to the tips. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. Now bring your attention to your left shoulder, moving down into your left bicep, and around to the tricep, and down into the back of your elbow, and then the inside of your elbow, down into the inside of your forearm, around to the outside of your forearm, now move your attention to the back of your hand, around to the palm of your hand, now move your attention deep into your fingers, all the way to the tips. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. Now bring your attention to your left upper back and slowly, evenly scan left to right. Moving down to your right middle back, slowly, evenly scan right to left. Moving down to your lower left back, slowly, evenly scan left to right. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. Now bring your attention to your left upper chest, the area above your heart, And slowly, evenly scan left to right. Moving down to your right rib cage, slowly, evenly scan right to left. Moving down to your lower left stomach, slowly, evenly scan left to right. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. Now move your attention to your root chakra, the area above your pubic bone. And gradually move your attention over to your left hip. And around to the left butt cheek. And on to the right butt cheek. And on to the right hip. Now move your attention down into your right upper thigh, first the front. And then around to the back. Moving down into the back of your knee. And then around to the front of the knee. And moving down into your shin. And around to the calf. And now starting with the heel, slowly, evenly scan across the bottom of your foot. Come around to the top of the foot. And move your attention deep into your toes, all the way to the tips. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. Now bring your attention to your left upper thigh, first the front. And then around to the back. Down into the back of your knee. around to the front of the knee, moving down into your shin, and around to the calf. And now starting with the heel, slowly, evenly scan across the bottom of your foot. Come around to the top of the foot. Now push your attention deep into your toes, all the way to the tips. Always noticing any sensations that may arise. When you feel ready, you can gradually open your eyes, relax your body. Notice your environment. Notice yourself in your environment. Notice the energy in your body. Notice your aliveness.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was a really beautifully grounding meditation. I so thank you for the simplicity of which we can do a body scan and bring our presence into each and every part of your body. I invite you, for those who are watching live, to maybe pop into the chat, or you can even turn on your microphone or camera and share anything you notice, just to be able to reflect on that beautiful body scan. And I'll start with sharing what I noticed was, as you invited us to bring our attention to each part of your body, I envisioned it was like shining a light, like a warm flashlight that illuminated that piece of me. And to me, the warm light was also an extension of love and compassion. And I noticed when you had us put down the right arm, how by the time we finished the right arm, my whole right side was so relaxed, and my left side was a little bit slightly more tense. And then that side relaxed. And look what we can do to simply just, with our awareness and breath and attention, get our body to just be at ease. So I'm noticing if anybody else noticed anything with that meditation you'd like to share. And the other beautiful thing, I've often heard through many times in my own meditation practices is, like, why a body scan? Well, if we can put our mind and attention and breath on our fingertips on purpose, we're building the muscle to place our mind's attention somewhere else on purpose. So if you at all ever have a struggle in relating to this body scan, I always like that, well, there's the purpose of this, is just beautiful in and of itself. And how can we take this off the cushion, so to speak, and into our lives? We have the power to place our mind's attention anywhere we choose. And the body scan is a great way to build that muscle.
Yes, that's a beautiful analogy with the we're sharpening our minds essentially to be able to with intention, with awareness, put our attention where we want it to be, and not have it drift off. And it's really, we've heard the term the light of our awareness. Everything that you just said, it's healing, it's comfort, it's a warm blanket, it's a hug, and it's nothing short of miraculous. And ultimately, that is our natural state, is to be aware of ourselves fully and live with intention. And
Yeah.
so this is what trains the muscle, like you said, that awareness muscle. And then it's really less about, like you said earlier, about having to sit in the morning or the evening or whenever. It's about bringing this awareness, this intentionality into our daily situations and infuse them with this presence and this just love for life and this aliveness.
Yeah. And the more, I would say, close we get to our own body's experience, like the more in touch, in tuned, aware of, the more able we are to see the messages our body's revealing to us, because we're becoming in closer relationship to those inner workings of our intuition, our gut, our guidance, outside of this perceived logic, reason, rationality that we think is the way to make decisions and move through the world. And this body scan allows us to enter into that in a deeper way. And it's really beautiful. And I always invite people to do this as well, especially when you feel areas of tightness or tension, and to just imagine, your muscles opening and receiving your breath and that warm light. It's amazing how we can be the source of our own healing, of physical pain and stress, by just presence and breath. So Chris, thank you so much for your time in the middle of your night. You can go to bed now. Again, and for those who don't know about Chris, I've been tagging him in all of this stuff, so be sure to follow him. He shares really beautiful wisdom and insights, and he's actually gonna our podcast episode that we recorded a couple of months ago is going to come live in a few weeks, so you can hear more of Chris and I talking about that. So be sure to stay tuned. And Chris, I really thank you for your time today and for being here to kick us off and such a beautiful grounding for this week-long transformational virtual retreat.
Thank you for having me, Jory, and thank you everyone for your presence.
And you're welcome to stay on. We're just going to wrap up for a few more minutes as we kind of tie together the intentions of what we did this morning, of revisiting that question of why are you here, but why are you really here? And the ability to be open to what you're here to receive. And we can receive the messages, the insights, the awarenesses, the intuitions, the things that have been preventing us from being or getting us to where we want to be, is start through this stillness. And we will be building upon this idea throughout the week. So if you aren't able to make it live each day, I understand life happens, no judgment about that, but I will be doing a short recap each time, so that way you get the essence of what we did. And this is an opportunity to get to know yourself in the here and now. And whatever form or iteration you've been in the past, you're new in this moment. You've never been here before. And your thoughts, your sensations, emotions, the quality and the essence of who you are is brand new in this moment. And so every day is going to be an invitation to be with who you are right now, so we can let go of some of the narratives and attachments and old belief systems that we're bringing to this moment that may no longer apply. Because when we can recognize what those are, how we're holding on to parts of ourselves from the past, belief systems from the past, judgments from the past, it prevents us from being fully on our path in this moment, and also to get us to where the next iteration of ourself is to be. And we get to choose that path consciously, with intention, with awareness, with those words that I pulled from the angel card: abundance, strength, and authenticity. I think that is really the beautiful intention for this upcoming week. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat, or you can also email me back. The replay of today will come out tomorrow morning in the email for our morning session. And whether you showed up live or watching the replay, I'm so grateful you're here. And this week is really an invitation to get to know yourself, to gain some greater clarity and insights, and to be open to whatever it is that you receive. And I'm here as your guide to know what to do to integrate that. And on Monday, our guest expert, Monday evening, oh, you guys don't miss this. I mean, everyone here is amazing. I've handpicked all these people, so I'm going to say that every time. Deborah Fryer is really just a beautiful essence and soul, and has become just a friend of mine. I'm so grateful for her. She's going to be talking a lot about mindset. She talks about law of attraction, but it's really about reprogramming our belief systems and recognizing how we have the power to do so. So she's going to be our guest expert on Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And thank you guys so much for showing up. I wish you a peaceful and present rest of your Sunday. And for Chris, he starts into his Monday as he again tuned in from Singapore. So enjoy your stay and your travels, Chris, wherever that path takes you. And thank you again for being here with that beautiful meditation. And thanks everyone for showing up, and I will see you all tomorrow.